Today, RC drivers, we're taking a look at the Maverick Quantum 2 Flux ready-to-run monster truck. Maverick is actually a division of HPI Racing, an RC car brand that's been around the RC world for quite a while. However, I haven't had one here on the channel since my Audi review, and well, we won't get into that. I actually got this through Amain Hobbies, and they're going to start selling Maverick. What's even more important is they're going to have parts support for it. That's key when you're going to pick out an RC vehicle. So I'm going to go over all the details you need to know about this truck, and then we're going to take it out for a drive. So RC drivers, I'm pretty excited to have the Q2 Flux on the workbench to share with you. 110 scale four-wheel drive electric monster trucks are just a great go-to for bashers. They're reasonably priced. This one's $280. They actually have a brush version of this one as well for $199, $200. And they're just fun to drive anywhere. So this one is available in two different colors. I'll have links in the video description below for the alternatives. And they've got some really cool graphics on here. Just this shredded type design, a little Van Halen-like, I think. What do you think about the white, black, and red? Let me know in the comment section below. Cool graphics on here. Tethers for the body clips, and overall really cool shape for this monster truck style body. Up front, they've got a really cool looking bumper. I like how it's got this opening in the bottom, just gives it some extra styling. And then right in the center, there's an LED light. Looks like there's actually 4 or 5 LED lights in there. And then on the rear of the truck, equally cool rear bumper with an LED light in it. There's a wheelie bar attached to it. I'm sure this thing is going to pull wheelies. I'm going to definitely throw a 3S battery pack in here. You could also use a 2S battery pack in it. But let me go to the tires now, because these are pretty awesome. They're the Treads Linebacker tires. I like how it's actually got a bit of a rounded carcass. Sometimes those style of tire, that shape of tire works really well in the corners. Gives you lots of forward bite. And then these wheels are very cool. The double spoke or a split spoke style. And the big deal here is it's got a 14 millimeter hex. You could use a number of tires that are already out there on the market. Definitely check out the new Upgrade RC tires if you do want to swap these out. Let's take a look at the chassis now. It's a high ground clearance setup. The chassis is composite. Lots of bracing on the inside. And then they have an aluminum upper chassis brace. For the battery, they have a Velcro battery strap. That's awesome because you could go and put different height battery packs in here. Let me just show you guys the steering. Dual belt crank steering setup with a servo saver to help protect the servo. And the bottom has the Maverick logo on it. Nice smooth setup, front and rear skids. This, again, should be really cool for backyard bashing. The suspension, this looks really good too. A larger bore shock. There's aluminum caps on it and aluminum collars for the springs. Threaded so you can adjust the preload. Lower cap is aluminum. Shock feels really good. There's actually, I think, a thicker oil than most. Maybe around like a 40 kind of feels like instead of a 30, which most kits come with. For the suspension, I like this setup as well. This looks really bulky. H-arms, both front and rear, fixed upper links. They've got the MVK Maverick logo, metal ball ends, and I like the caster block and steering knuckle setup. A lot of racing vehicles have a similar looking caster block and steering knuckle, and even large diameter bearings in the steering knuckles, like how they have a screw with a top hat style bushing for these outer pieces to pivot on. Just a really good setup. Inner hinge pins that are supported by steel plates in the front and rear. So, I mean, this is a built-up setup. There's some attention to durability here on this. They want this thing to hold up. And then let me show you the rear. Similar looking arms to the front, fixed upper links as well. And then you've got that large outer hub, dual shear, so that tie rod or their upper link isn't going to pop off. So good looking stuff in the suspension. Next, we got to check out the drivetrain on this. So we've got a front and rear differential, no center differential in this truck. Does have a dual pad slipper, so at least we got that. But back to the differentials, metal gears on the inside, and they are filled with grease. I was kind of hoping to see oil in there when I popped the gear off, but at least we got all metal gears, and I would add some extra grease at some point if I were you. These differentials feel a little bit light when you're spinning them, but look at this. The out drives on this are pretty heavy duty. That's one area that can fail on some trucks. And this is a pretty large out drive. In the front, it goes out to a CV style drive shaft. In the rear, they have dog bones, and there's a big dog bone in the center. The only thing is, guys, I noticed when I was checking this out for you, if you go and steer all the way. One wheel locks up when you start to turn, so you'll see like the outer wheel lock up. So if you go and max out those CVs, that pin is locking out on you, and the problem with that is it could cause a bit of wear and tear to the vehicle. Wish they kind of had some sort of bump stop just to help prevent that. The upside is you got a lot of steering angle. Now let's move on to the electronics. Metal Gear steering servo. It shows that it's waterproof on the label here, but the box itself says that the electronics are water resistant. I like to err on the side of water resistant. The speed controller is an 80 amp unit, the FLX10 3S80. That one also says waterproof. Again, I'd go on the side of water resistant. It does have an XT60 plug and a cooling fan on top, and that powers the 3500 kV sensorless motor. That's mounted to a composite motor plate. Wish that was aluminum, but I think it was Basher Clean I saw has an aluminum motor plate for it already. So that option's always out there if you think that's going to be a problem when you pick up this truck. It's actually controlled by the MTX 400 radio system, 2.4 gigahertz. A little small and kind of feels plasticky. It's got a good look to it with the carbon fiber styling on it, digital trims. You can turn on and off the LED lights with the button on the radio system. Just going to need some batteries to go and power that up. Again, you're going to need a 2 or 3S LiPo pack for the truck, charger, and that will get you up and running. Now it's time to head outside for the drive. All right, guys, this is my first time at these mounds here. Shout out to my local viewers that told me about the spot. Thank you very much. This is a pretty cool spot. So this is actually my second trip here with the truck, and the first one, well, I was doing my, close-up video stuff, and unfortunately I had a problem with the truck. The set screw came out of the front drive cup, so I only had rear-wheel drive, so I had to run back home, fix it, and what I found out was they didn't even put any Loctite in there, so that was a bit of an issue. But we're back and running, and this thing rips. I mean, it is fast, guys. Look at this. It's on 3S right now. Full throttle. We got wheelies. That wheelie bar is really working. It just pulls wheelies, even in the dirt. And it flies really well through the air. I mean, I've been really challenging it here. Some gnarly jumps. Plenty of throttle to pull out of bad landings. Steering is really good on this. Watch this whip that turn. That was sick. Another whip through the turn. Yeah. So this thing is moving. Come jump right at us. Watch this. Yeah. Now we got to do a big send with this thing. I'm going to back up here. There's a little piece of wood that acts as a lip up there. Watch this. Perfect. Perfect landing. Perfect air time. See if I can line this up. That should be good. And we'll front flip. Or back flip. There we go. Back flip. This is a pretty cool truck. Now that I fixed the little problem, I mean, it's just a fast basher. Add a little heavier shock oil for those big jumps, and you're good. All right, guys. Awesome drive. Had a lot of fun with this one, yeah. Let's get a speed on this beast. Start up the old GNSS. Send it down. Oh, sounds like it's got an angry bearing in there. We're gonna send it anyway, right? Here we go. All right, everything's moving. Not bad. Tracking straight. Ooh, a little sketchy under braking with those grease diffs. Send it back. There we go. I had to have nailed top speed on that one. Bring it back in. Oh boy. A little sketchy under braking. But here we go. And the result, 39 miles an hour.
Which that thing was pretty close to 40, but 39 is good.
Let's just get right to it. I think that 275 bucks is a real deal for the Q2 Flux. This thing absolutely rips. It basically went 40 miles an hour. The battery pack that I was using was like 10 years old. I bet you if you throw a new pack in there, you'll definitely hit that 40 mark on the spot. And because it's so fast, it sails through the air when you launch it off of jumps. This thing is tough. It had some hard landings and it held up really well. The truck steers well. I think you need to tighten down on the servo saver a bit. The traction's pretty good on it, but there's some things that you need to do to this truck in order to enhance its performance. And I don't think it's gonna cost you a lot of money to do that. You're gonna have to get some oils for it first up, for pretty much everything. The shock oil is a bit too light. You're gonna need something about 50 weight if you're gonna send it off of jumps. The other thing is you're gonna need to fill the differentials with oil as well, especially if you're gonna go run on packed surfaces or if you're gonna go run on asphalt. It definitely needs oils inside the differentials, and that will definitely help out the handling of this truck. I mean, maybe the total cost of that's gonna be about 10 bucks or so, but there is basically a assembly flaw that I found with this truck, or at least with my truck. First up, as I told you guys during the testing, the set screw backed out of the drive cup. There was no thread lock on there. What I found out later on down the road was there's actually a second problem with the bevel pinion gear itself. And from what I saw was they actually just pushed it on. They didn't actually key it in all the way, and they put this long screw in there, and it eventually just backed off, and it was just freewheeling. The gear was freewheeling on the shaft. And so I had to grind off some burrs that were on there, and I was able to seat the pinion onto that shaft as I was supposed to, but the screw was too long. So that tells me that the manufacturer just kind of shoved it all together with whatever screws that they had, and they didn't use the proper screw. And I actually had to go cut some of the screw off because it was too long. Finally got everything reseated, it's in there now, and everything is holding up just fine. And for someone getting into the hobby, that just isn't gonna fly. That is not cool that that happened. Luckily, I have experience, so I was able to fix it, diagnose it, fix it, you know, and make it all work. But that may be a flaw for this truck that might turn off a lot of people to it if that's something that continues with other trucks. I'm gonna guess that Amain or Maverick probably would have helped out with that part replacement if I asked them to, but just wanna let you guys know the experience I went through and what to look out for if you lose front wheel drive on your trucks. But again, for the price, it's a good deal. It was worth the little hassles and the diagnosing time on the workbench. Had a blast with the truck. I think you should definitely check it out. I'll have links for it in the video description below.